Hi everyone, we're really excited to have Mrs. Gillian Hammer, the Chief Marketing Officer of DataBank, sharing with us a live case study of how a large company has done succession planning. So Gillian will share with us some of the key principles that inform how they do succession planning at DataBank, some of the various steps, in other words, the key elements of succession planning at the bank, some of the benefits that have accrued to the company from doing succession planning, and finally, what have been some of the challenges they've faced and how they've been able to address them. Thank you, Gillian, for joining us.
Hi, I am Gillian Hammer, Group Chief Marketing Officer with DataBank, and today we're here to talk about succession planning and what works for us. Now, I think one of the key principles for DataBank and for any company that is doing succession planning is the fact that none of us will be here forever. Whether you are self-employed or you run a business, it's all about knowing and preparing for change. So underlying succession planning is knowing that change will happen, and it is better to plan for it than to have it imposed upon you and then you're reacting. So when it comes to the various steps for succession planning, really there are only a few. The first one is you want to look at identifying two groups of people. One, your senior leadership. You should have your list of senior members. The second group would be those who are subject to what we call key man risk. Now, you could have a situation where both are actually the same. So there's somebody in your senior leadership team who also is subject to key man risk, where key man risk is someone who holds specialized knowledge or experience in the firm, and you want to make sure that if that person leaves, there's someone to step in for that. So the two things we look at is you identify those two groups, then you ask a number of questions. Number one, you want to find out, can that role be replaced internally or externally? If it is internally, then you ask a few more questions. So the first question is, when it comes to internally, readiness, level of readiness, how ready is the person to step into that role? So is the person that you're thinking of, are they ready now? Are they ready in the next 6 to 12 months, in the next 1 to 2 years? You generally don't want to go beyond somebody who is ready for beyond 2 years, because it's a bit too much time. So you want to look at level of readiness. Then you want to look at, okay, if they are not ready, what are the key things that you need to do to build up that individual? Is it technical skills? Is it leadership skills? So both soft skills and hard skills. What's missing? What do you need to do? Third, you need to ask, are you willing to make that investment? Not every company is willing to make that investment, and it could be for a number of reasons. And I mean, we can just discuss it with challenges, but generally you may find that you have somebody who is technically ready, but they don't want it. And so you can't force the situation, and therefore it's not even worth investing in that person. So you really want to look at whether you are willing to make the investment in the person who you have identified. If not, the second thing that you are looking at is external. Does the person need to be replaced by an external individual? If they are to be external, then number one, you look at, are there any candidates that you already know of who you think are even potential replacements? That's one. Second, when it comes to replacing, again, then you ask, is it a case of, are you going to poach someone? Or are you willing to do an open application? It's not every role that you want to do an open application process for. So for sure, you want to look at poach or open application. And so again, just to summarize really quickly, you are looking at, senior leadership, key man risk, replacement, will it be internal or external? And what are the skill sets you need to build on if it's internal, if it's external? How are you replacing, how are you getting the new talent? So when it comes to benefits of succession planning is key. Those are the things that when I look at DataBank as an example, it's all about not being reactive. That's one of the biggest things. We lose people, and it's like the company is like deer in the headlights. You do not want that when you are planning at the senior level. So you want to be prepared. So I would say the key benefit is it allows you to plan. It allows you to be proactive. It allows you to decide whether you want to build and who you want to build, and then put a strategy in place and actually measure it over time. So I would say the key benefit is it puts you in control as a leader of the whole process, and it doesn't just kind of leave you to the vagrancies of what may happen. Then when it comes to challenges, I would say maybe there are 3 or 4 key challenges that you should look at. One is performance versus potential. That's one. So with that, a lot of times the mistake that companies make is you take somebody who is performing high technically, and you think that they can step into any role because technical skills equals every other skill, and that's not the case. So a great tool that is available for leaders is with succession planning is what we call the 9-box matrix. Now, there are people who criticize using it with the employees directly, and they have their reasons, but at a leadership level, it is a really great way to kind of plot out your potential successors and see where they are. And so it's worth looking into it because it really just looks at who has high potential, high performance, those who are close, and then you identify those, and then you now put a plan in place to build them. So that's one thing. The second challenge that many people face when it comes to succession planning is also transparency. It's a big thing where you have to balance it. You don't want to be too transparent. Sometimes you don't even want to tell the people that you are thinking about that they're in line for succession planning, because sometimes, people take it the wrong way and it goes to their head. So you don't want to do that. And then the third element that I would say that you would need to look out for when it comes to that is really just key. Make sure that when you are thinking of it, focus on roles for tomorrow, not only for today. So when you are thinking about skill sets you need to replace, competencies, make sure that you are thinking about how will the business be positioned in the next 2 to 3 years, and making sure whoever you are looking at is able to step into it, not just for today, but carry the company forward 2 years from now, 3 years from now. So those are the key things that we do for DataBank when it comes to succession planning, and I hope you take something from it. Thank you.